Holy shit, this team is different. On the first game of the road trip, the Orlando Magic came out blazing hot. It was not until Steve Kerr put Quinten Post in to start the second half that everything changed. The rookie stepped up, knocking down shots and setting killer screens to free up Steph Curry, who exploded for a season-high 56 points. I had to break down this duo's electric performance, so let's get to it. The Magic just could not miss in the first half, with the lead as big as 17 points. Post gets put in the second quarter to give the Warriors a different look. Here he plays both the down screen by Wendell Carter Jr. and the mismatch in the paint. The issue with the Magic this season has been their poor shooting and spacing. Post completely ignores the weak side and senses the entry pass, playing the passing lane getting the steal. Steph gets the loose ball and runs to the other end to get a fast break layup. This is a small play that will help Curry get loose for the rest of the game. I gotta give Steve Kerr credit where credit is due. The much bigger Magic were babying the smaller Warriors with Moses Moody, so Kerr made the brilliant coaching adjustment by starting the second half with the stretch 5 and Quinten Post. The primary action here was broken up by Orlando, so now Golden State tries to run an exit screen for Steph, but KCP is a great defender and also top blocks Curry to prevent him from curling over the screens. Pod sees this, then comes off Jimmy Butler's pick and receives a dribble handoff from Dre. The Magic are playing straight up, so Post sees that his man Carter Jr. is sitting in the paint in the drop coverage, and counters by coming up on the left wing. The stretch 5 is how you counter the defending big man sitting down low, and the rookie makes them pay from downtown. Post was a complete Energizer bunny off the bench. On a fast break, the rest of the Magic assumed Jimmy will get this easy bucket, but with Butler having an off night, look who comes out of nowhere, it's Quinten Post. Post makes a fool of the smaller guards, stepping through for an uncontested layup here. Here's a clinical defensive possession by Post and the Warriors. With Carter Jr. and Banchero running a pick and roll, Post and Draymond Green both understand that they are non-shooters, so Post plays a heavy drop coverage, encouraging Banchero to shoot the midi. He falls right into his trap where Post is able to come up with an incredible contest, forcing the miss. Even though there was an offensive rebound, Draymond probably fouls him here, but no call as they get a stop to run a 5-4 fast break. With Carter Jr. still down on the other end, Post sprints up the left wing knowing he will be wide open. Look at him calling for the ball from Brandon Pajensky, then confidently pulling up from 3. The rookie single-handedly got Golden State back in the game within the first 3 minutes of the second half. I absolutely love this out-of-bounds play. Jimmy gets an inbound pass and Quinten Post immediately looks for a down screen to free up Steph on the weak side. KCP does a great job staying right behind Steph to chase him, so Curry counters by cutting to the basket. Now Golden State runs a secondary option in which Jimmy Butler runs a chase action to Post, but the big man slips his handoff screen to find KCP and set another brilliant down screen. Great overall counters to the defensive coverages here, and Steph is able to curl around free after his defender gets lost on the pick for a wide open 3. Post playing his screen setting role to perfection here. By having Quinten Post in the game, this allows Draymond Green to play his natural position at the 4, and therefore he switched on to Paolo Banchero. KCP tries to come for the inverted pick and roll, but the Warriors do a great job countering by having Steph hedge the screen before recovering back to the shooter. This allows Green to also recover back to Banchero, where the rookie Post completely leaves his man to sit and help in the driving lane. This forces the Orlando big man to see another big body and force a contested layup as Post uses the verticality rule to get the stop and rebound. Now Steph Curry is just an otherworldly talent. On-ball pick and roll with GP2, and he actually rejects the screen to attack KCP. There is absolutely nothing in the world you can do as a good defender here. Caldwell Pope cuts his driving lane off, then Steph counters by stopping on a dime and a slick behind the back dribble, creating just enough space to launch this deep 3. He's the GOAT. The middle of the third quarter was where Quinten Post and Steph Curry put on a clinic. The next possession, we got a Cole Anthony on-ball pick and roll with Bitadze. Look at Post sprinting up the perimeter to play drop coverage, while GB2 fights to recover and gets a hand the passing lane to get the steal. Post gets the loose ball and immediately looks for Steph. Great pass up the court to Buddy Hield to momentarily catch the defense's attention, but high IQ and unselfish pass back to the hottest man on the court for a slight hesitant 3, but still goes in. If Post can develop his defensive awareness and shot blocking ability, he will be an absolute monster. Here's another defensive highlight, where Anthony and Banchero run a pick and roll and Draymond plays a drop coverage while GP2 fights to recover. The Magic get this pass through, so there's a momentary advantage as Banchero gets the ball with full steam ahead. As Draymond tries to recover, look at the rookie Post coming again to rotate early, another big body that forces Banchero to have second thoughts. This great help forces him to try a lob pass where Post reads like a book and tips the ball to get another steal. What a defensive possession. Here's another defensive masterpiece. On-ball screen by Batazzi, and Quinten Post plays a deep drop coverage, encouraging a mid-range pull-up by Anthony. Orlando recognizes the mismatch on the weak side, with Banchero posting up a much smaller Steph. The second he receives the entry pass, look who comes over to rotate to help. Banchero sees another big body in the middle of the paint, forcing him to shoot a tough contested turnaround fadeaway, with Post contesting too. Draymond gets the board and a stop. Honestly, Post was looking like prime Hakeem Olajuwon on defense. In the fourth quarter, when Batazzi first slips the screen, Post plays a drop coverage, then he immediately calls to Moses Moody to watch for the fade screen, where Moses is able to contest a deep three-pointer into a miss. The airball is the hardest rebound to recover, and when Guy Santos needs help in the paint, Post comes over to stay patient and not for any of the pump fakes, before swatting the shit out of this layup attempt by Jonathan Isaac. Another incredible defensive possession by the rookie. Then on the offensive end, who needs Lauri Markkanen when you got your own 7-foot draft pick sprinting down the floor immediately to the left corner? Draymond's ability to smell out Banchero's natural defensive position in the paint and swing the pass directly to the stretch 5 is so underrated. Post confidently knocks another catch-and-shoot 3 ball to extend the lead. Another energy play from the rookie. Great lob pass leading Draymond to attack with the two Orlando defenders lagging behind, but then realizes how Draymond's pretty ass at fast break layups and runs to look for a potential second chance opportunity. No one picks him up and Post cleans up the mess. These are highly underrated hustle plays. The more I watch Quinten Post, the more I'm a fan. For such an inexperienced player, he seems to grab the offensive schemes pretty well. High on-ball pick and roll with Steph Curry, and Banchero plays a drop while KCP fights to recover over the pick. Look at Post slipping the pick and then creating a slight advantage, so when he receives the pass, he forces both Orlando defenders to focus on him just a bit. That attention is all Steph needs to relocate back to the right wing, where Post naturally turns around and finds the greatest shooter of all time. KCP is a half set behind, and that's already too much space for Curry to launch another one. Clinical. There you guys have it. What an incredible game to witness, another highlight of Steph Curry's legendary career. This was a good test in the Jimmy Butler era as the Warriors go on another road trip to prove this winning streak at 5 isn't a fluke against a decent Eastern Conference playoff team. With the Magic unable to miss in the first half, it was Steve Kerr's second half adjustment of slotting rookie stretch big Quinten Post into the lineup. Post immediately contributed energy on multiple brilliant defensive stops while forcing Magic players into tough positions, then on offense confidently draining threes while setting up screens or assists to the GOAT shooter Steph Curry. This let Curry keep his hot first half going and stay in rhythm, exploding for 56 points on 12 threes. Gotta give credit where credit is due. What an amazing showing by an unlikely duo, and I am blessed to witness the greatness of Stephen Curry even at age 36. Curry capitalized on Quinten Post's electric start to the second half and shot the Warriors back into the game and closed the Magic out in the fourth quarter. This breakdown was to give Post his flowers and Steph for giving us another reason to watch Warriors basketball. If you guys like this breakdown, like and subscribe to see more.